And what we have here in the index is C. In the index of the United States Code, it'll tell you all the law pertaining to citizens. It tells you where to go and what does it mean. All right, it starts down here. The word citizen. Citizens Air Training Camps. You go to Title 10, which is what? What is Title 10? So Title 10 is Armed Forces, right? So when you want to see where Citizens Air Training Camps, the law pertaining to that, you go to Title 10, Section 4312. And it'll tell you all the law about that, right? Now you want to come over here. Oh, here's citizens right here, see? Okay, now let's go to the next page and we'll follow citizenship. Citizenship starts right here. Now I'm going to ask for your help. We're going to go down here and what's the title of the Internal Revenue Code? Title 26, right, is the Internal Revenue Code. What's the title of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms?
27.
So we have 26 and 27, right? Now I'm going to ask for your help because we're dealing with citizens and citizenship now. Let's go find those titles. We have 8, 36. When you're actually digging in for law and doing research, it's not what is said, it's what's not said. That means everything, right? In this textbook, they gave the children illustrations, such as this one right here is for Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1. It says, Congress may use its taxing powers to get money, to pay the debts, provide for the common defense.
In this tape, we have shown that there are two classes of taxes, direct and indirect, and that direct taxes are paid by state governments, not individuals. We have also shown that the income tax is an indirect tax in the form of an excise, and that an excise tax is a tax imposed on the manufacture, sale, or consumption of a commodity, on corporate privilege, or on certain privileged occupations. We discussed Supreme Court decisions acknowledging that the income tax is an excise tax. In Madison's notes, we saw the intent of those who framed the Constitution and learned that the Constitution does not authorize either the federal government or state governments to print paper money. We examined Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution that was authored by Roger Sherman to forever bar the door against paper money. We mentioned the powerful international banking interests that benefit from the use of paper money and showed why the founders were so concerned about the banking interest's ability to influence judges and politicians. We learned that courts do not make law, but we also learned that judges often have political or financial reasons for subverting the intent of the law. And finally, we explained what every first-year law student learns in law school. A law that cannot be understood by someone of average intelligence is void for vagueness. In this tape, we examined the power to tax and learned that in 1895, the Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional to tax the income of U.S. citizens. Of course, the average American would quickly add that Congress passed the 16th Amendment, as if this changed everything. However, most Americans are unaware that in the case of Stanton versus Baltic Mining, the Supreme Court ruled quite the opposite when it said, the 16th Amendment conferred no new power of taxation. So, if it was unconstitutional to tax the income of U.S. citizens before the 16th Amendment, and the amendment conferred no new power of taxation, then it would be just as unconstitutional to tax the income of citizens after the 16th Amendment. Indeed. We then showed that according to the law, the income of U.S. citizens living and working within the 50 states is not the subject of the income tax. To the contrary, the law requires the income tax to be withheld only from non-resident aliens, foreign corporations, and certain foreign organizations. The law does not require income tax to be withheld from U.S. citizens. This was acknowledged by the government in 1916 when Treasury Decision 2313 was issued by the Commissioner of the IRS to explain that it was the income of non-resident aliens that was subject to the tax, and that it was the responsible heads, agents, or representatives of non-resident aliens that were required to fill out Form 1040 income tax returns for their non-resident alien principals. We also discovered that the government does not need an income tax to raise revenue. It does, however, need some mechanism, real or imaginary, to remove excess paper money from circulation. Because, without such control, the value of paper money would decrease geometrically, just like the Continental. We then showed that the term taxpayer, as used by the IRS, is a legal definition pertaining to persons who are made liable for a tax under the Internal Revenue Code, and that persons who are not specifically made liable by statute are not taxpayers as defined by the law. We also examined the government's definition of a tax protester and found that, according to Section 5431.4 of the Internal Revenue Manual, a tax protester is someone who files a return and writes a protest on the return. Such individuals usually protest their legal obligation to file returns and pay taxes. However, if the law does not require you to file a return or pay a tax and you act accordingly, then you can't very well be a tax protester.